Have you ever had the feeling that you are reading from a script? That the life you are living, the identity you hold, the beliefs you share, the reality you perceive is perhaps not your own. We are told we are free, yet we seem to walk in patterns, constrained by invisible walls. We are told the world is solid, yet it feels increasingly like a dream, the sophisticated stage play where we are both the actors and the audience, forgetting we are either. What if the freedom you believe you have merely a localized choice within a much larger, predefined architecture? What if the illusion of separation we feel is not just a philosophical concept, but the primary objective of the system we are in? Millennia ago, in the sands of ancient Egypt, a figure emerged, known as Thoth. He was the scribe of the gods, the master of measures, the one who understood the blueprint of the cosmos. In Greece, they call him Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great, a master of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual realms. It is said he left behind a body of knowledge so profound, so fundamental, that it formed at the basis of all wisdom traditions that followed. This knowledge, famously codified in the 20th century as the Kybalion, contains the 7 universal laws. But these are not laws in the human as. Hence, like rules you must obey. They are the mechanics of reality. They are the source code. This is the knowledge that has been hidden for decades, reserved for esoteric schools and secret societies. Why? Because this knowledge is the ultimate key to power. It explains not only how the universe exists, but how it is manifested. And if you understand how reality is manifested, you can begin to unmanifest the parts that are false and create the parts that are true. The very first and most important of these 7 laws is the master key upon which all others depend. Principle of mentalism. It states, simply, the all is mind, the universe is mental. Let us pause and truly absorb this. This is not the modern New Age interpretation that your thoughts create your reality. It is far more profound. It is that your reality is thought. Everything you see, touch, taste, and experience, the screen you are watching, the air you are breathing, the stars in the sky, and the intricate dramas of human history all exist within the infinite, living mind of the all. There is no outside. There is no objective, physical world out there that your mind is merely observing. There is only mind. You are a center of consciousness within that mind. This single principle is the conceptual bond that shatters the illusion of separation, our core. And there be true separation if we are all existing in the same infinite mental field? The answer is, there cannot. The separation we feel is the greatest illusion, the primary lie that makes the simulation, or the matrix, convincing. The other 6 laws we will explore: correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender are not separate from this. They are simply the mechanics of how this mental universe operates. They are the subroutines of the grand operating system. If this is true, it means our entire world is a mental construction, and like a construction, it can be and has been architected. The powers that be are not powerful because of money or armies. Those are just tools. They are powerful because they understand these laws. All the masses do not. They understand how to manipulate vibration to create fear, how to use polarity to create division, and how to use rhythm to create cycles of boom and bust, war and peace, keeping the collective consciousness in a predictable loop. This video is not just a philosophical lecture. This is an act of decoding. We are here to reclaim this ancient wisdom, to translate this myth into a mirror for our modern journey of awakening. To understand these 7 laws is to find the exit door from the prison. It is to realize, as the mystics did, that the prison door was never locked. It was only mental, and the key need to turn the lock is the very mind you are using to listen to these words right now. Your quantum shift begins not when you do something, but when you realize the nature of the game you're in. To dismantle the architecture of illusion, we must first understand its blueprints. The 7 laws are not abstract. They are the interlocking gears. The reality engine. We have established the operating system. The all is mind. Now, let us examine the core applications that run on that system. The second principle is correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. This is the law of analogy. It states that there is a harmony, a direct relationship between the different planes of existence, the macrocosm. The universe, the above, is reflected in the microcosm, the human, the below. This isn't just poetry. It means that the same patterns repeat. The structure of an atom mirrors the structure of a solar system. The way a forest ecosystem organizes itself mirrors the neural networks in your brain. Most practically, the state of your inner world, your below, creates a direct correspondence with the state of your outer world, your above. You do not just attract what you want, you attract what you are. The Matrix uses this against you. It focuses relentlessly on your below, your physical body, your immediate survival, your 5 senses. It traps your consciousness in the microcosm, convincing you that this is all there is, so you never look up to see the patterns of the above. They create a below, fear, scarcity, and division. Knowing the universe must reflect that back to you as your external reality. The third principle is vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This is the foundational law of modern quantum physics. Yet Thoth taught it millennia ago. Nothing is solid. Everything, from the densest rock to the most ethereal thought, is just energy vibrating at a specific frequency. This is the great spectrum of existence. At one end, you have coarse, low-frequency vibrations, matter, fear, guilt, shame. At the other end, you have high-frequency, infinitely rapid vibrations, light, consciousness, love, the mind of the all itself. Your entire experience of life is determined by your dominant vibrational state. This is why manufacturing your vibration has become the primary tool of social control. The incessant drumbeat of fear from the media, the isolating nature of modern technology, the rhythms of consumer culture are designed to lock your consciousness into a low-frequency band. Why? Because a low-vibration populace is easily managed. They cannot perceive the higher realities. They are trapped in the below, awakening. Therefore, is the conscious act of raising your frequency. The fourth principle is polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. This law explains that opposites are not actually different things. They are identical in nature, but different only in degree. Heat and cold are both just temperature. Light and darkness are both just light. Love and hate are 2 poles of the same spectrum. This law is the engine of division. The architects of the simulation understand polarity perfectly. They do not fight against a concept. They create its opposite and pit them against each other. Left versus right. Us versus them. Believer versus skeptic. They amplify the extremes of the poles, knowing that a population polarized at the fringes is incapable of finding the balanced center, the point of synthesis where the truth resides. They keep humanity swinging violently between opposites, never realizing they're on the same stick. To transcend this, one must learn the art of transmutation, to rise above the poles, to find the unity that holds them both. Th. The fifth principle is rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. This is the law of cycles. Rhythm is compensation. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The tide goes out, but it will come back in. Empires rise, and they will fall. A period of intense energy is always followed by a period of integration. The hidden hand uses rhythm to manage expectations and to induce societal amnesia. They create a crisis, the swing out, and then they provide the solution, the swing in, which inevitably involves more control. They know that after a period of intense ideological conflict, swing to one pole, the population will crave normalcy, a swing to the other, accepting measures they would have previously rejected. They create chaotic rhythms to break down natural, organic ones. Your awakening depends on finding your own rhythm, independent of the artificial cycles broadcast to you. The sixth principle is cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. This is the law of karma. But on a cosmic scale, there is no such thing as chance or luck. Those are just names for a cause that is not perceived. We live in a complex web of causality. Most people are effects, not causes. They are puppets, living out the consequences of causes set in motion by others, by their appearance, their culture, their government. They are blown about by the winds of the world, feeling like victims. The mastery of this law begins with a simple shift, to move from being the effect to being the cause. You stop reacting to the script and you start writing it. You understand that your every thought, word, and deed today is a cause that must have an effect tomorrow. This is where you reclaim your power. Finally, the seventh principle. Gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. This is not about physical sex. It's about the creative forces of the cosmos. The masculine principle Yang is the projective, expressive force, the will. The feminine principle Yin is the receptive, nurturing, generative force, the womb. Nothing can be created, physically or mentally, without both. You cannot just will something to happen masculine without first nurturing the idea and creating the fertile mental space for it feminine. Our modern world has become tragically imbalanced. It hypervalues the masculine constant action, aggression, logic, doing while suppressing and devaluing the feminine. 9. Intuition, receptivity, being, feeling. This imbalance creates a sterile, destructive, disconnected world. The true quantum shift is the reunification of these two principles within your own consciousness. These 7 laws are not your enemy. They are the immutable rules of the game. You cannot break them, but you can break yourself against them. You can learn to use them. For centuries, they have been used to build a prison for your mind. Now, we will learn how to use them as the keys to set it free. Let us move beyond mere definition. How do these laws look in practice? Imagine a young person, a modern apprentice, living in our world. He feels lost, anxious, and powerless. He sees the chaos, the division, the crushing weight of the system, and he feels like a victim. He seeks out a modern alchemist, a wise mentor who sees the hidden architecture behind the stage. The apprentice complains the world is tearing itself apart. I turn on the news, and it is a storm of rage. One side hates the other. Everyone is afraid. The economy is a house of cards. I feel paralyzed by it all. How can I find peace when the world is designed for war? The alchemist smiles gently. You are not seeing a world in chaos, my fry. Indeed. You are seeing a world under perfect control. You are seeing the Hermetic Principles being weaponized. You are not a victim of chaos. You are a target of precision. What you call the news, the alchemist continues, is the most potent, application of the law of vibration. It is not designed to inform you. It is designed to tune you. It is a vibrational fork struck every morning to pitch your consciousness to the frequency of fear, scarcity, and anger. A fearful mind is a suggestible mind, a mind locked in the below, incapable of perceiving the above. They are men, actuating your vibration because a low-frequency being cannot access the higher truths. But the division, the apprentice insists, it feels so real. How can this be controlled? That, the alchemist says, is the mastery of polarity. The architects of this system, let us call them the Archons, as the Gnostics did know that you cannot control a unified population. You must shatter it. They take one great truth, the desire for human freedom, and they split it into two false opposites. They call one freedom from tradition and the other freedom through tradition. They now either left and right. They pour energy into these two poles, amplifying the most extreme, irrational voices on both sides. They use their vibrational forks, the media, to broadcast these extremes, convincing each side that the other is an existential threat. They take the same human population and turn it against itself. Us versus them. This is the great engine of division. While the puppets fight at the poles, the puppet masters operate in the calm, synthesized center, unseen. The alchemist points to the endless cycle of spectacle. Look at the patterns, he says. Why do the sound? These symbols repeat across empires and ages. The eye, the pyramid, the eagle, the laurel wreath. Why do royal coronations and presidential inaugurations, centuries apart, follow the same structure, same ritual technology? This is not just tradition. This is the law of rhythm and correspondence. What we see as spectacle, they enact as ritual technology. They are reinforcing a pact. And as above, so below, they perform the ritual on the physical plane to anchor a desired outcome on the mental plane. They understand that bloodlines are not just about genetics. They are about preserving ritual memory and symbolic continuity. They know that a symbol, charged with centuries of belief, which is mental energy, becomes a powerful anchor for consciousness. They create the boom and bust cycles using the law of rhythm. They allow a swing of apparent prosperity, letting the pendulum swing far into greed. Then, they initiate the compensatory swing back into fear, harvesting the emotional energy or loose shares. Some call it and consolidating wealth and power during the panic. They are farmers, and the crop is human consciousness. The apprentice looks deviated. Then we are truly trapped. If they control the laws, we are just batteries in their machine. No, the alchemist says firmly, his eyes bright. This is the most important secret. They do not control the laws. The laws are immutable. They simply use them. They are playing a game of chess, and you have been convinced you are only a pawn. You are not. You are the player. They can only use these laws. Through you, their entire architecture requires your participation. Your fear is the fuel for their vibrational control. Your rage is the energy that powers their machine of polarity. Your consent is the foundation of their ritual. You are not a battery. You are a mirror. And from millennia, they have controlled what is reflected in it. The moment you understand the laws, you take back control of the mirror. This is where the great work, the true alchemical transformation, begins. It is not about changing the world out there. It is about changing the mind in here. And that changes everything. The alchemist's lesson is the pivot point of our journey. The decoding is complete. Now, the modern awakening begins. The 7 laws cease to be a description of our prison and become the 7 tools for our liberation. We move from being the effect to being the cause. The foundation of the entire system is the law of mentalism, the Archons. The architects know this. Their primary goal is to keep you from realizing it. They have built a world, a simulation, that screams at you 24/7 that the physical is all that matters. Your job, your body, your bank account. Why? Because as long as you believe you are a body, you are trapped. The moment you know your mind, the game changes. Your first practical step is to reclaim your mental sovereignty. This is done through stillness, meditation, contemplation, a walk in nature without distraction. These are not passive acts. They are acts of war against a system that demands your constant attention. In the silence, you stop being a receiver of the system's vibration and you begin to observe it. You see the fear, the anxiety, the anger, and you realize IT is not you. It is programming. This detachment is the first victory. Next, we reclaim the law of vibration. If fear is the fuel for their unseen architecture, then your high-frequency emotions are the antidote. This is not about positive thinking. This is about genuine, embodied states of being, gratitude, compassion, creativity, and joy. This is why, in the darkest of times, creation of art, music, and true community is a revolutionary act. It is not an escape. It is an offense. When you create an act of beauty, you are broadcasting a high-frequency signal that disrupts the low-frequency static. If the rituals create low-vibration states, our rituals art, shared laughter, genuine connection, heartfelt gratitude can create high ones. You cannot defeat their game of fear by fearing them. You defeat it by withdrawing your energy from their game entirely and investing it in a higher one. Then, we master polarity. Stop playing the us versus them game. When the media presents you with two false opposites, do not choose a side. Instead, ask the Hermetic question. What is the unifying truth that holds both of these poles? Rise above the division. See the puppet strings. When you refuse to hate the other side, you starve the engine of division. You neutralize the spell. This is the practical application of as above, so below. You create unity in your own mind below, and you stop projecting division into the world above. We use the law of rhythm by honoring our own cycles. Turn off the manufactured -1 of the 24-hour news cycle. Reconnect with the real rhythms, the sunrise, the seasons, the breath. The system uses rhythm to create predictable panic. You can use it to create unstoppable momentum. Understand that life has tides. There will be a ever dark night of the soul. It is not punishment. It is integration. Do not fight it. Use this inflow to rest, to learn, to heal. When the outflow of energy returns, you will be stronger and wiser, ready to act. Finally, we become the cause, not the effect. Stop waiting for the world to change. Stop waiting for a savior. You are the author. Every time you choose to consume conscious media instead of propaganda, you are a cause. Every time you buy from a local farmer instead of a faceless corporation, you are a cause. Every time you speak your truth with compassion, you are a cause. The quantum shift is not a singular, dramatic event. It is the aggregate of millions of individuals reclaiming their status as a cause rather than an effect. It is the moment we stop feeding the mental architecture of fear and start building a new one based on love and sovereignty. The 7 laws are the tools. The illusion of separation is the law. You're awakened. Consciousness, the union of your masculine will and your feminine intuition, is the hand that turns the key. Every act of love, creativity, and truth weakens the system's grip, not by fighting it, but by rendering it obsolete. You are remembering how to use the code of the universe. We began this journey in the shadow of Thoth, the thrice great, the keeper of the 7 keys. We saw how these keys, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender are not just ancient philosophy. They are the living, breathing mechanics of the cosmos. They are the physics of the mind for age. This knowledge was hidden, weaponized by those who understood that if you can architect a person's reality, you can control their consciousness. They used these laws to build a grand illusion. Architecture of separation, designed to make us forget what we are. They tuned us to fear, polarized us into tribes, and locked us into rhythms of consumption and despair. They taught us we were meaningless effects in a random, material world. But the student is now ready, and the master has appeared. The modern apprentice within each of us has met the alchemist and the great. Revelation is this: the system is not all-powerful. It is a parasite. It requires a host. It needs your belief, your fear, and your participation to exist. The 7 laws are not the walls of you, our prison. They are the 7 notes of a cosmic scale. You have been taught to play a single, mournful tune. But now, you remember you are the composer. You can play a symphony, the prison door. It's never locked. It was built of stories, of vibrations, of shadows cast by false pulls, and you can rewrite those stories. You are not the puppet. You are not even the actor. You are the author of the script. Your quantum shift is the realization that you are not a victim of reality. You are the mental crucible in which reality is formed. Your awakening is not the end of the journey. It is the true beginning of your freedom. It is the moment you stop consenting to the simulation and start designing your own world. You are infinite consciousness, temporarily experiencing them. It's sad you are remembering that now. The legacy of Thoth is not a dusty scroll. It is the living code inside your own soul. The all is mine, and you are that mine. The illusion is over. It is time to awaken.